Hi there, this is Tim Curtis, Town Manager, Town of Madison, and I wanted to just take a few minutes to remind folks that town meeting is coming up on Monday night, June the 10th, 7 o'clock, and it will be held as usual at the Junior High Auditorium. Nothing really major coming up at this year's town meeting, but I wanted to take a few minutes to let you know about a couple of things that we're preparing for. You may have heard some of the good news we've received regarding Madison paper, and I think we've finally been able to close that chapter and be able to move forward. For about 5 years, you know that our tax rate went up when the paper mill value went down and then eventually closed. And so we've held off on a lot of major projects because we didn't want to raise taxes any more than we had to. So the budget that's been crafted this year that you'll be voting on at town meeting is aimed at keeping the tax rate stable, but there's a significant amount of capital projects, not only road pavings, but also equipment that needs to be purchased, both for the highway department and the fire department. So you'll see those articles on the town meeting. There is one article I want to bring your attention to because there's a discrepancy between what the Select Board approved and what the Budget Advisory Board approved, and that's Article number 7, and it has to do with a storm drain or storm water assessment that's being charged to the town by the Anson-Madison Sanitary District. And this assessment is $107,000. This is a shift in the way that the sanitary district has charged the town for storm drain maintenance. In the past, they've always performed the maintenance and repairs and then charged the town, and the town pays them back in the next fiscal year. What the sanitary district is proposing is that they change that and ask the town to pay a fee ahead of time, and then the repairs and maintenance work to the storm drain system will be done out of that fee. So it is a little bit of a shift, and that caused a little bit of a difference between the two boards when the budget process was being prepared. So the advisory board has voted for a lower number, keeping the number at $44,000 to pay the sanitary district for work that has already been done. So they want to keep that current way of doing things, paying for services rendered. The select board, by a vote of 4-1, has voted to accept the fee of $107,000. So they're in favor of moving forward with the change. So you, the voters at town meeting, will have a decision to make. Do you stay with the status quo of paying for work done, or do you change, as recommended by the sanitary district, to pay a fee ahead of time for work that hasn't been done yet? So that's coming up at Article number 7 at town meeting. The other article I want to bring your attention to is Article number 19 on the town meeting warrant. And this is an article where we're asking the voters at town meeting to give the selectmen the authority to deal with overages. Say an article is approved for $500,000, but during the course of the year, $510,000 is end up spent. Currently, we would have to take that article back to a special town meeting and get the voters to approve that overage of $10,000. What we're asking in Article 19 is if the voters would consider setting a limit of $25,000 that the selectmen could use from undesignated fund or surplus that would cover any overages. We've run into this twice over the last couple of years, and I'd like to think it's because we've created such tight budgets to keep the tax rate as low as possible that some of our articles tend to run over when we run into unforeseen events. For example, we ended up spending more at waste management last year because of the cleanup from the windstorms back in November of 2017. This year, we are going to end up overspending a couple of our categories because we spent 30% more on fuel oil during the course of the year than we have in previous years. And I'll bet you did too at your house because we had such a long and cold winter. So that's Article 19, giving the selectmen the authority to use up to $25,000 to help cover these overages without having to go back to a full-fledged town meeting vote for that. Anything above $25,000, of course, would require a town meeting vote. As I go through this information, I want to remind you that there will be packets available for town meeting at the town office as of Friday the 31st. Those packets will be ready. And again, town meeting is coming up on the 10th of June. We have 9 ordinance changes this year, and if you've been attending town meeting over the last couple of years, you've realized we've done a lot of ordinance update work, and a lot of it is necessary because these ordinances hadn't been changed in some cases 30 and 40 years. I'm going to run down real quickly these ordinance changes and kind of group them together. We're recommending a change to the animals ordinance. You remember last year we added a section to the animals ordinance that restricted how large a piece of property you could have if you wanted to have farm type animals like cows and pigs. And we got some feedback on that, so we've added a variance provision to that. And so there would be a way that if a property owner was using farm animals for their business, they could appeal to the appeals board if their property didn't fit the parameters. So we had to amend the animals ordinance for that, and then we had to amend the appeals board ordinance to include the animals ordinance under their jurisdiction. We created a fee schedule this year which includes all of the various fees that the town charges for certain things, like small fees that if you want a copy of a tax map or if you want to send a fax or something like that. Those are minor fees that have pretty much stayed the same, but they've been included in this fee schedule. The largest change to the fee schedule has to do with building permits. For years, Madison has only charged $20 for a building permit, and that we've kind of fallen out of touch with other municipalities our size that have to follow state rules. And so we are now creating a sliding scale for building permits. So keep that in mind. In creating this fee schedule, we had to amend a number of ordinances and take the fees that were embedded in the ordinance and take them out. So that's why you'll see recommended changes to building construction, sewer and sewage disposal, use of town property, and special amusement permits. We also touched on 2 ordinances that have to do with vehicles, traffic, roads, and parking. Chapter 399 covers parking, and there were a number of road names that needed to be updated there. And then the other ordinance was number 694, roads and highways. There are a number of road names that need to be updated and added to the list that the road commissioner has the authority to post. So those changes. And the last ordinance that we're recommending a change on is an update to the floodplain ordinance, which brings it up to the most current state standards. So that's a lot to say about ordinances, but I want to thank the select board and the planning board, our code enforcement officer, for all the work that they've done throughout the year to get this information ready for town meeting. Again, packets are available to be picked up as of Friday, May 31st. And looking forward to seeing you on June 10th at 7 o'clock at the Junior High Auditorium for our 2019 Madison Annual Town Meeting.